What's up, Paulius, Bobo? Welcome everybody. Steve Machani, Chelsea, what's up, William? Welcome everybody. Simulation Talk 88. Okay. Recently, these are kind of late. At least for me, they are. And everybody are asleep, so I have to speak quietly. So I'm pretty sure that today's going to be also a short one. Morning or good evening is exactly correct, Bobo. What's up, Michelle? Welcome everybody. Spontaneous move. Why so late? My days are long recently. So many things. I literally just finished with all my commitments. So, but it's my commitment to show up also every single day. So here we are. Even though today might be a little short, so we'll see. What's up, Frankie? Aliv, Likia, Debbie. Welcome everyone. Archangel. Miss Ma'am. Welcome. Okay. Well, let's see how we flow with this one today. I'm going to give it a short intro, even though I'm pretty sure that almost everybody here are regulars. But I think... Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you. I think I need to give introduction regardless. Okay. Welcome, everybody. How are you, Miss Ma'am? Simulation Talk 88. Lucky number. This channel usually revolves around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have found actual proof to believe in a simulation. We meet here every day to discuss the experiment, the implications, as well as science in general, religion, spirituality, God, philosophy, and whatever comes to mind. A few years ago, I discovered that if you project a diffracted laser on a surface and you ingest a particular molecule that I cannot really name on a live chat, you will see code running in surfaces. This observation has now been substantiated and replicated over 1,000 times worldwide, and I am currently in contact with some of the leading researchers in the field. It's important to mention that not all of them obviously agree with me in the conclusions that I draw, but this is an ongoing conversation, and this is one of the reasons why we meet here every single day. By the way, we're working on a documentary related to the discovery and all the little details. Our trailer went viral recently, and we're going to be releasing a special version for TikTok as well very soon. To all the people who want to know more, aside from the videos that you see here on TikTok, you can always visit my YouTube channel, which is Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts, and you have much longer form videos there with more information, and I'm talking more in depth about these things. Thank you, Nico. Great to see you, man. You always make me feel at home. You can, if you're on TikTok, you can actually follow the link tree in my description. It will have all the links to both the trailer of the film and also to oh, thanks, man, I appreciate you. Title gifter. It's like a Killer Instinct, you know. Tyler gifter. Did I just brand myself? Yes, I did. Anyways, you can always follow my link tree in the description, which will take you directly to my YouTube and other channels as well. So I think that's enough introduction. Let's see if we can make this entertaining in the short period that I'm going to be on today. What's up, Hamilton, Canada? Good to see you. So we're just going to take it very easy and we're going to flow. Did you say they do not agree with me? No, I said that it does not mean that all of them agree with me. Obviously, there's always differences of opinion, even among experts, right? And I think it's fair to mention that. However, I would say it's also important to mention that all the ones that are kind of extra skeptical or don't fully agree with my conclusion did not actually try the laser. I don't want to name any names, but everybody who saw the laser have a very different kind of opinion, or everybody who saw the actual experiment, to be more accurate. But Yeah, I said that not all of them agree with me. However, all of the ones that don't necessarily agree with me at the moment did not try the experiment itself. There you go. Also, I just realized that my voice is a little raspy, but also I'm trying to speak a little quieter because people are asleep. And I don't know if it comes across as annoying from the other side. Apologies for that. You can prove anything through science, even God. It turns out that it might be true. So, but in regular terms, I wouldn't necessarily say that's that straightforward because the way that science is perceived today is only through measurement. But I agree with you. There are other modalities that science should adopt, and through these modalities, God can be proven. But I actually think that God is not a thing that needs to be proven, to be quite honest. It's something that I've now learned. You either feel it or you don't. The thing is, how do you create both a narrative that makes people safe enough to explore so they can feel it for themselves? Right? That's really the question. Because you can tell people things all day. As someone who, his whole life, I never really encountered that feeling, and then people kept on telling me about it. I don't feel it's, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not alone in that, right? So I feel like it's a little unfair, or maybe it's just something that is unrecognized by a lot of the people that do feel it, is that it's possible to never feel it. And then if they wouldn't feel it themselves, they wouldn't believe it either. And I think there needs to be a little bit more compassion around this element. What is version 6.0? Miss Mom. Miss Ma'am. Scientific research. Wait. Do you need a specific type of laser? No, you just need the laser to be diffracted, and make sure no matter what you do, never, ever, ever get a laser that is above 5 milliwatts output. Reason being, anything above that, even if you're just staring at a projection of it on the wall, eventually you might do some cornea damage. So if you go to codeofreality.com, codeofreality.com, we have a full list there of what you can get. You don't have to get it through the website. You can get it anywhere you want. It's just to make sure that the specs that were listed are the exact same ones. You don't get the level thing that you can get at Home Depot. It's too narrow and it's too strong. So there's a reason why we put the exact items that are there. So yeah, as long as it matches these specs, get it anywhere you want, but make sure it matches. So, particle physics can prove God. I would disagree with that. I think statements like these usually come because there's a somewhat misunderstanding of how particle physics is done. But if you have an interesting idea, I'm always down to listen. I believe God is a frequency anybody and everybody can tap into. I feel, yeah, but I've actually seen something else. I've seen that God is actually a person, which was very surprising to me. I programmed my subconscious when I turned 60, version 6.0. That's amazing, Paul. Will you oil up at 100 likes? Nice. That'll probably boost the channel. Maybe it's not a bad idea. What if someone told you that God is from the future working through space and times of past? From what I understand, God is not abiding by time at all. So to say that God is from the future, I feel is a little bit missing the mark, but who knows, right? Let's see what we have on YouTube. How are you, everybody? Welcome, YouTube, X, and Twitch. Psycho the Trickster saying, super interesting in the documentary. Can't wait to see it. I appreciate you, Psycho. Oh, Cybo, I'm sorry. I'm too tired. Psycho the Trickster would even be better. But it's not. It's Cybo the Trickster. So I misnamed you. Yeah, I'm mostly sad about the documentary. Working on it. Lochmon Savoy is saying, it's not that I am not believing in the result, it's what the implication of it could be for humanity. Question. This discovery needs more research and understanding before it's presented to the wider society. Maybe, but to be quite honest, I understand the concern, but I think we're running out of time. So what humanity doesn't understand is that we truly are on a pivotal point and we need to do many things in time. We need to grow up. We need to get our act together, and we need to start demonizing one another. And there's probably other things, but these three are very key. And at the moment, we don't have much time left. So, running the risk of sounding a little hyperbolic, that's the only way at the moment, as far as I can see. Newman's saying, hope you are well. Does seeing the code give you information or teachings in a way that standard molecule experience do? If so, does it have a distinct different quality than entities? These are great questions. There's a lot of questions folded here. Neoman, and good to see you, by the way. I think I pronounced your name correctly this time. Thank you for the likes, everybody. So, first of all, does seeing the code give you information or teachings in the way that standard molecule experience do? So you mean regular matter? Well, first of all, it tells you that without a shadow of a doubt, there's something beyond what we currently entertain. That's number one. That solidifies it for you immediately. The other thing, so I would say in that context, yes. Does it have distinct different quality than entities? Yes. It's very coherent. With the entities, it almost feels like it's true that it feels more real than this, but the entities are kind of, they rarely appear solidified in front of you. They're usually kind of like in a periphery, or they're like a feeling, like they're a little bit more kind of like in the esoteric space. The code is just the code. It's just there. Like you can see it with your eyes. You can see it like you can see the pen. It's that mundane. And I think that's what makes it also stand out so much. That it doesn't have any of the hallucinatory element at all. I hope this answers some of your question. The stream is always quiet, silent in comparison to all other YouTube stuff. What do you mean by that, Andy Core? You mean that the streams have less people in them in real time? That's always the case. You know, even the biggest, I don't know if that's what you meant, but if that's what you meant, even the biggest streamers in the world, who would be, I guess, Destiny is considered to be number one at the moment. I think his chats have like 5,000 people in the chat every time. But views, yeah, he has like millions of views, right? So there's always a big difference between these. Cyber Trickster is laughing about me mispronouncing his name, I think. I get it all the time. What's up, no man? Hello, Dan, and good morning from Stockholm. Welcome, good morning to Stockholm. By the way, I don't want to wake anybody up. So let's see. How is Stockholm feeling right now? That's very helpful. I suppose I mean, does it teach lessons while looking at it? While inside the space, like when looking at entities, so not ontological implications. Wait, let me read this again. It's very helpful. I suppose I mean, does it teach lessons while looking at it? While inside the space, like when looking at entities, so not ontological implications. Okay, I understand. So I will say something here right now that I think that might upset people. And I don't mean to upset you, but I want you to, if you're experienced with these things, I want you to pause and think about it for a second. So I don't know if I'm the person who's done the most of this stuff ever, but I'm getting, like, I'm definitely up there. Okay, I'm not saying it to pull any kind of rank. It's just because I have a very vast experience. I've collected enough, kind of have a very broad understanding of what's possible in this space. So easily I've done this, I don't know, thousands of times. I don't know if it got to 10,000. I have no idea. But you build a certain coherent picture when you're in that space for that often. So one of the thing that I want to say that might upset some people is that entities never ever give you information. Ever. It's forbidden. That's what I understand. So now, Does it mean that that's necessarily the case across the board and nobody ever received information? Of course, I can't know that. That's for sure. But it's kind of like, when you do, it's a weird example to use, but if you've been doing your profession for 20 years and then somebody walks in and says something that just doesn't happen, you kind of go, I think you're confused. So uh, they never give you information. I think what happens is that people come back and they want to believe that they received information, and then the first thought that comes to their minds, they confabulate to themselves and they say they received the information, but they never received the information. They thought of something that made sense to them, and the space maybe nodded yes or no. They can do that. That's true. So they can nudge. I don't know what nudge is, but they can nudge you towards yes or no. But as far as I understand it, it is forbidden to give you information. So in that sense, I'm glad you asked this, because I don't know if that's the spirit with which you asked it, but it gave me the opportunity to say this, and I think it's important to mention. I think it's important to mention this for two reasons. The first one is it's the birth of responsibility. People need to understand that a lot of the stuff that they bring to the table, like all the stuff that they say about the multi-dimensions, all that stuff, they did not get this from the space. They thought of it themselves. Now, it might be true, by the way. It doesn't mean that it's not true. It's just that they should give themselves more credit, A, and B, also take responsibility for what they say. And I think these two elements are actually one of the key components that we need to adopt more as humanity. We have to badger ourselves less. We have to see ourselves as a disease less, because we're not. Because these kind of trains of thought about that are always expressed under the banner of humility, but they're not. They're just dressed up. They're not humility. They're dressed up virtue signaling. As when people go, nature is just operating within the bounds of all the equilibrium, and humans came along and then just ransacking everything. That's not true. If lands knew how to take over the world, they would. Nature operates within the bounds of what's possible, and we are the cutting edge of what nature is doing in this corner of the universe. Now, it sounds like the place where I took this point to is very far and unrelated, but it's very related. These ideas that people have about receiving insights from higher space, they've been told that A, X, Y, Z, they're nothing more than attempts to basically declare special status of some sort. So it might sound absurd coming from someone like me who's claiming to have found the thing that I'm saying that I found, but I'm actually not really under the impression that whatever it is that I discovered is special, unique to me. I think it was always available. It's just you have to allow things to be what they are. So the reason I'm saying all this is because I think that the more we're gonna lower our self demonization, and the more we're gonna understand, yes, we can mess things up for sure, but it's because we have a lot of power, so we have a lot of responsibility, and we have to grow up, basically. And part of growing up is stop making things up. And I think that's important. So I know that we probably didn't even ask it even in the vicinity of this spirit, but that's where my brain went, and I felt like it's important enough, so I'm glad I had the opportunity to say it. So thank you for that question, even if I answered a completely different question. Okay, I know that you said that you're trying to gather the resources to get in possession of powerful magnet. Would testing the laser during a CT scan influence the code? Will it? I have no idea, but it would be one thing to try for sure. I have somebody who expressed the interest to try it inside of an MRI machine. They have access to it. I'm very excited to see what happens there. So I know your phone volume is on full. I apologize, Andy, but people are asleep in the house and I can't have a very booming voice. If I raise it just a little, it shakes the walls. Okay. What if the code is fundamental to existence, but way too advanced for us Who guards the code? What if we can learn to manipulate it but not fully understand it? I understand that time is of the essence. So again, this is a great points. There's a lot of questions here. Um, let me just let's just take them one by one quickly. So, what if the code is fundamental? Most likely it is to existence, but way too advanced for us. I'm not sure what you mean by way too advanced for us. Do you mean way too advanced for us to be able to understand? Um, who guards the code? I don't think anybody guards the code. I think the code is just nature. So there's no need to guard nature. Nature is by definition existence itself. What if you can learn to manipulate it but not fully understand it? Yeah, all of these are valid concerns. I think just like with everything, we have to proceed with caution, and we have to. This is also another reason why we have to stay as honest as possible to what we can or cannot know, and pay attention to how we do know. So epistemology actually becomes a very important element of this whole journey. Okay, so I'm gonna move a little bit to TikTok because I neglected TikTok. Hey Rose, good to see you. Why is it forbidden to receive information? I have no idea. I think it has something to do with kind of like, you know how if you help the chick to hatch, it most likely will not survive. I think it's something like that. If you're given too much help, you won't be able to figure things out later, which is going to be problematic for you. So they can supply warmth, they can give hints, they can steer you in the right direction by kind of nudging you a little bit in like with a wink towards yes or no. But the actual decisions of trajectories and understandings have to be done by the beings that are evolving. I know you have like I said, it will most likely upset some people, but I would submit to you that what happened there is that the thing that you think you received was actually it was expressed by your own brain, and then they either asserted or denied it. That's how they communicate. They communicate with a very, very rapid hot-cold game with your conjectures. So if you start saying, for example, so you see some kind of a scenario, right? That scenario is unfolding in front of you. Your brain goes, wait, does that mean that? And before you even start formulating the thought, they exist in pure meaning. So they don't need you to formulate the symbols that, like words or all that stuff. They already see what you want. So the second you start formulating the question, they can nudge you towards yes or no. This way, the communication is very fast, and also there's less chances of actually damaging anything in your psyche, because whatever it is they nudged you towards yes or no with, you already considered it. So your brain already, it made some sense to you. So this actually is the safest way to proceed to understand certain things. It is true that they can sometimes kind of give you an understanding, so to speak. But even that, if you look really closely, it's not actually like, here's this knowledge that you didn't have before. Like, for example, like in The Matrix, like, I know Kung Fu. Nothing like that. It's more like there's an intuitive imprint that you receive, and that is unfolding into something that you already are. If you would not be the kind of being in that state that can, what's the word I want to use, assimilate or wear that thing that knowledge that you just received, it will just confuse you, right? You just like, if it's a type of a code or a type of a communication that you're incapable of interacting with, it would just confuse you. And I think it's designed so you don't create too much jarring energy and create too much disjunction when people are in that space or other beings are in that space. So I encourage you to actually pay attention next time that there's something like this happens. Again, just to understand, I have so many people, like very close people to me, that tell me very often, they're like, even religious communications or like And whenever you really drill down to it, it's always that they kind of receive this intuitive imprint of some sort, but it's not the information. It's like it's like you've been handed a feeling, but that feeling, it's a I guess you can say it's a real knowing, but in order to formulate it into something that is applicable, it has to go through you as a tool. So I think maybe that's a more accurate way to represent what I'm trying to say. They will never come to you and say, hey, here's schematics to build a spaceship. Never. That's not because the formulation of knowledge, of information, has to come through the tools, or whatever you want to call us, that we are. Does that make sense? Okay. You're essentially tainting the tool if you're just giving the tool like all the right answers, because the whole point of it is that you need to evolve. There's a reason for this evolution. It's something I would never would have thought in a million years. Sure. So share it. What was it? Would love to hear it. Chair Bear. Can you explain automatic writing? The dog is farting. It's hilarious. Automatic writing. What do you mean by that? Tapping into the multiverse. The file to open. Yeah. Is I at the top of the hierarchy? No, I don't think so. Maybe I would place 5MEO up there. There you go. Through the individual operating system. Vibration is everything. Okay, wait. You would never think of that? No, for real. Come on. This is something that is vitiating our the memeplex of the planet more than any other meme. Vibration is everything is literally in every like spiritual meme out there. No, I understand, but like, okay, look. Do you remember when I told you like they would never give you like a specific information that like tells you how to build a thing or do a thing? Okay. Vibration is everything. It's not actually giving you any information. It's like saying everything is one. Okay. What does it do? So that understanding is not actually steering you towards an actionable function of any kind. Now, it has value all by itself because, like I said, the intuition of what that really means, like everything is kind of like tapestries, and but also, like if you really want to drill down to it, that is, so you have to answer what is vibrating, right? If you say it's pure vibration, that is actually not a thing that makes a lot of sense, because vibration is an oscillation of something, of a substrate. You can say, but it's of pure energy. Okay, well then you're saying that energy is everything. But the point is not to try and fold it into some kind of a scientific understanding. The point is that this phrase that I just gave you, as incredibly profound as it was for you, and by the way, I'm with you, it is a profound thing to know that everything is just one thing that is just oscillating in some way. It's not a functional thing that you can actually do anything with, just like you can actually do anything with we're all one. So the actuation and form still has to come through you, and if you can use this information to do something, then it translates into something that is knowledge. It was like a nudge in the direction of exploration. Exactly. See, they give you a nudge. They give you some kind of a feeling that moves you in a direction, but it's not a functional knowledge. Everything is vibration. Also, it's incoherent in terms of like actual functionality. Not incoherent. I don't mean it incoherent in like a. Sorry, my brain is tired. I don't mean incoherent in like a derogatory way. I mean incoherent as in it's not the phrase itself does not track anything that is of functional value in this space. It's like, there's this really funny story of Terence McKenna when he's talking, I forgot what he did. I think it was Aya or something. and it's very fun and endearing because he's kind of like, acknowledging how these things play with us sometimes. I forgot what he was talking about that he was doing in that time. I think it was Aya maybe, but he said he basically got this download where he's like he understood everything, and then he goes, he was convinced that this is it, this is like everything, and then he's like, he prepped everybody for like, okay, I'm gonna deliver it. Okay, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? I'm gonna deliver it. And then when his mouth opened, he just went, a song is a song. And then everybody just kind of stared at him. So the funny thing is that it's true. There's that, the sentiment that he got in that moment, and probably the same thing that happened to you with the vibration, right? Is that there's a truth there that you can experience, and it is absolutely the most impactful thing you can have, and I am absolutely 100% with you that it probably has this ultimate imprint of like, oh, I get it, but it's not the kind of thing that you take and you translate to something functional here. It's for you, and that's really my point. I guess what was referring more in the context of what I was saying before is that people sometimes come back with highly specific things that they think they're like pieces of knowledge. They're like, well, do you know that actually one dimension and then 8 dimensions and 9 dimensions is this? I'm like, dude, sorry, you don't know that. You don't have a way to know that. And what's more, you don't understand what the word dimension means. Bias is also a substrate. That's actually a great line. The division of base reality is biological and simulation is cognitive. So I actually think there is no. Yeah, I appreciate you, Chair Bear. I appreciate that you're open and we understand each other. And I'm not diminishing for 1 second your experience. I know that it was as impactful, and I'm not even saying just for you. I'm pretty convinced that what you've been given in that moment is actually some fundamental truth. It just cannot be expressed in this space in this simple way. Bias is also a substrate. That's actually a great line, just so you know. The division of base realities, biological, and simulation is cognitive. I understand. From what I'm seeing, there is no such thing as base reality. All of it is computational. But the modification you want to give this is that what computational really means is more than what we mean with the word. It's much deeper than that. When we use that word, it sounds a little bit robotic and mechanical, but it actually leads to what we would, much closer to what we would call divine or that space. Just got home. It's good to see you. Good to see you too, Hawkeye. Always great to have you with us. Oh, you're the hurricane. My fiance's parents are there too. I'm with you, man. How is it? Is it getting really strong, or is it kind of dying down a little bit? What if the biology is simulated? So when I mean Mamba, sorry, Ben. Oh, you're referring to Mamba. Ben Smart. When I'm saying simulation, it literally encompasses, the computational space encompasses everything. So biology would be already like a very high emergent property of it. We're talking about everything. Are what we call aliens inside or outside the simulation? There's simulation in the context of everything is computational means slices of reality. So I guess it's simulations all the way, on top of simulations, on top of simulations. Okay, I'll take a few more and then today we'll adjourn. I appreciate you guys. Really enjoying myself here, but it's getting late for me. Let's see. I'm going back to YouTube for a second. Love wants a boy, but how do we communicate with it? It's in our nature to ask questions so we can understand what we are working with. Absolutely. Like I said, your questions, the way you understand through your questions. So when you ask better questions, you understand better things. If you ask silly questions, you understand silly things. This is really was really the deepest point in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is one of the most brilliant books to have ever been written. And like I said, they play a very rapid, hot, cold game with your conjectures, which are the questions you ask. So when you ask a question, they nudge you towards yes or no. They can do that because you already postulated it, especially if you guessed correctly. I can agree with this. I've met Gallimore, by the way, and I agree that they may manipulate your brain to show you things so does the code show? No, I think the code is just the code, really. I mean, you can see some things arising in it, but it's just what it is. What we also have to consider is its implications on religion, politics, and society as a whole. The pushback will be immense, and the refusal to understand the discovery. Yeah, that is true, and that's what's in front of us, but it's time. It's time for us to understand. That's the code nudge. I love that. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that. I'm not sure. Subway, what are you talking about? Wait, are you Jamaican? What you talking about? Are you Jamaican? I'm asking because my fiance is. If the special K has the ability to perturb the perception of time flow, would that buy some time to try and slow down flow of the code? Maybe it's bad mix, but I was wondering if any of the subject. Actually, it's not a bad mix. I love them together, to be honest. It's not for everybody, for sure, but I don't know. I don't remember it ever doing that when I did them together. You have interacted with, tried something similar. Sorry, I don't understand that. What I found when I found your video on YouTube, the tab open said 33, being the number of videos that were new. 33 numbers is general, are seen as Freemason, etc. Do you see this as the code nudge? No. I think it's any repeating number like that, especially just two numbers repeating. I don't find it substantial. I know people really do, but I mean, you see it a lot throughout the day. I stopped looking at like digital clocks when they show a certain thing. Sometimes number do speak and it's interesting, but it has to be a lot more than like 33 or 111. It has to be a lot more than that. It needs to be something that kind of appears in a very special way, not like on a digital clock or something, or somewhere on on a dial somewhere. For me. Otherwise, you'll never get out of it. Like everything would mean everything. There's just chaos. Do you believe there will be a collective understanding, or will things really start to fracture? I think that the system is safe. I think it's designed to give us all the opportunities to pull ourselves up. But one of the things that has to happen, like I said before, is that the first thing we have to do is we have to stop seeing ourselves as the problem and see ourselves as the solution. That's number one prerequisite. And when I say ourselves, it's not just us personally, but other people, right? And at the moment, we're really good at demonizing one another. So as kumbaya as that sounds, that's actually one of the key prerequisites. And people do it sometimes very tacitly and under very positive banners. People, care about the environment, but they start hating other people because they believe that these people are bad because they're hurting the environment. When in reality, people just do what they have to do. Third world countries, they don't really have a choice. They have to use fossil fuels and things like that. So that's just one example, right? And people basically rah-rah around it and realizing that it's just condescending because they already had the privilege of being born into a society that made it, so to speak. So all of these little things, they have to kind of change. And like I always say this, and I know people probably think that I'm a broken record at this point, but it has to start with pointing the finger at ourselves, but in a way that is healthy. Understanding that, look, yeah, we have a lot of things to amend for, but we're not a disease. We're not a problem. We're literally the solution. We can actually bring about something that this corner of the universe has never seen. the kinds of beauty, the kinds of innovation and connection and bring life to other planets. Like all of these things are beautiful. They're not. They're our destiny. And by the way, it does not mean that uh, everybody needs to pack their bags and leave. People have different predispensations for a reason. Some people are much better and much more interested in the whole ecological thing, and they will definitely stay on the planet and care for the planet. And so all of these things, they're part of what I guess some people would call the awakening. But the awakening is to the understanding of not just the unity of everything in the universe, but also the beauty of separation. And this is something that I feel like is not talked about enough. To me personally, there's something a lot more profound in connecting through communion with the other instead of connecting through the idea that you see that you're all one. Even though ultimately it has to be true that we're all one thing arising, there's something to me personally very beautiful about connecting with someone else that you see an opening and you basically see the differences and the beauty of like how different they are from you and the beauty of form, right? So the balance between these two modalities and understandings, I think, is what's gonna bring us out of this whole situation. And the question about the fracture is only occurring through resistance. And I think that ultimately we will be given every chance to just stop resisting it and just allowing for everybody to express exactly what makes them the most fulfilled being they possibly can be. Do you have a public writing? It jumped on me. Of the facts of your tests and possibly the next steps. That's a great question, wait, Rotatioscapa? Sorry, my brain is super tired. Well, you're touching a pain point right now because I'm having a hard time finishing the paper that I'm writing about this, and I think some of it is I get bogged down by certain elements that have to be very rigorous. On the other hand, I think in other moments there's like I want it to be as hard line as possible, but at the same time I understand that I have to also lean a little bit more towards the kinds of attitudes that we have to adopt and new modalities of understanding. But that's very difficult to communicate in a paper in which you're also trying to be taken seriously, because you're entering an existing paradigm in which there's a certain ontology and there's a certain way of looking at epistemology. So it's very difficult to, at the same time, claim a claim that is already extremely radical, and at the same time questioning the floor on which we're standing itself. That it's almost, and I would totally, by the way, I totally get it. From the other end, the receiving end of something like this will have to feel like somebody's trying to play a trick. Because like instead of proving the thing according to the rules we play, you're coming here and you're telling us that you want to repaint the floor first. Who do you think you are? And I get it. So it's a difficult task. So I think the second we have enough, what I'm trying to achieve now is to see if I can create any perturbation of any kind to the code that everybody can agree on. Because the second I have that, I can write the paper easily. I can finish the paper easily. Because if you rest on that, that is very difficult to argue with. Because the only thing that can do that is things that are real. So, have you looked at the anthropic principle? I mean, the anthropic principle encompasses a lot of things. What do you mean specifically? In what way are you connecting it? See, Arrow, I usually ignore comments like this, but my point is this is exactly the problem. The one-liners that people live with, the memes, they completely ignore the facts on the ground and the complexities of these situations. And it's only when we're going to start to understand that we're actually blinded by our own hatred is that we're going to start to understand that we have to stop doing the finger pointing and understanding that there's a humanity in every single one of us, and we have to understand why people do certain things. And these subjects are extremely charged and difficult, especially when the 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 majority of people that are commenting on these things are not actually directly influenced by it. They're the ones that just speaking their minds to feel something inside without realizing that's all they're doing. So if you find yourself rooting for a side, I promise you there's something there that is off. And this is not just in you, this is in all of us to different degrees in different scales. But this is a really pronounced example of that. Okay, let me see YouTube, and then apologies guys, but today I will adjourn a little earlier. But has anyone seen the code without the substance? Would it be possible to see it without? I've met 3 people who did, and I had a few people on the live that claimed that they also did, and a few at this point maybe 8 people that emailed me, across people who emailed me, hey Misa, across people who emailed me and told me about it on the live, but 3 people that I met in person that saw it without the code. And I think it has something to do with them being more sensitive to that space. And has everyone seen the symbols? Some people are having a harder time in the beginning, but I'm claiming that if you stay with it long enough, everybody will eventually see it, and then you can't really unsee it. I appreciate you, Ben Smart. Have you had 2 people on the molecule saying the same numbers at the same time? Yeah, I had 15. I had 15 people in a room saying the same code and talking about it. Okay, guys, I think, yeah, my brain is like shutting down slowly. So I appreciate everybody for coming. Hopefully tomorrow I can start this a little earlier and not be this rundown. You try to combine a laser with an approach of the double slit technique to try and bend the light before hitting the surface. No, not the classical double slit, but it will get there. I think Joshua could help you articulate your thesis. Who is Joshua, Mamba? Talking about Bach? Joshua Bach? Hello, good. Some of the symbols that you wrote down in your YouTube video I saw, I had seen in a sleep paralysis dream, but not sure if it correlated. I might have. Oh, Joshua Bach. I mean, yeah. I mean, something tells me, and Joshua is by far one of my favorite thinkers. I actually disagree with him on a lot. It's really weird. Like I disagree with him on a lot, but he never rubs me the wrong way. It's the weirdest experience. In fact, I can listen to him for hours, saying all the things I disagree with. But there's such an elegance about the way he thinks. It's truly a form of art. Like anybody who doesn't know Joshua Bach, wow. Like just, it's almost, listening to him talk for me, it's almost like classical music. There's such elegance to it. It's crazy. His thought is so organized. But I actually think that he will disagree with me almost entirely. But it's definitely going to be a fun conversation to have. So, yeah. Wish you a nice rest. Thank you so much. Everybody, peace and love. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Follow me across all the platforms. Dango Thoughts on YouTube. Danny Goller on TikTok. Goller Danny on X. And LaserX83 on Twitch. Oh, by the way, this is brand new. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with it yet. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit out of my depth there because I never even considered it. But recently, somebody convinced me that I should start doing like a membership thing on YouTube. We'll see how that goes. I'm thinking of all kinds of ways to actually bring value to people because I don't like when it's just like the same thing repackaged. You just charge extra for it. It's just stupid. So I'm gonna be playing with a lot of different ideas of what I can do that will actually be worth people's while. Maybe very frequent meetings one-on-one. Maybe I can do like discussion groups. I don't know. Maybe I'll create some merch. Even though merch in this context feels a little bit cheap, but it will definitely help me focus on this more and more full time, which is a positive thing. And yeah, I know that. Yeah. So, anyways, this is something that I'll be working on and making sure that whatever it is that I'm offering will be of value for people. So, and if you guys have ideas, I'm very open to ideas. That way, I can also formulate something that is actually close to people's wants and needs. And suggestions will be very, very welcomed. My attention towards asking why do you use fossil fuels? Sorry, Kelly. I think the, uh, the the phrasing is a little confusing to me right now, and I'm a little tired. But if I'm totally down to go down this rabbit hole, but let's do it tomorrow, and then you can ask me again, and I'll be a little bit more fresh. Oh, Jose, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. You're always so nice. Have a good night, guys. Peace and love, and see you tomorrow. Ciao. Have a good night, everyone.